Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is David Nunheimer. I'm the chairman of the Barnstable Licensing Authority. With me to my right is Vice Chairman John Flores. Next to him, our clerk, Larry Decker. Next to him, Nancy Carlson Lidman, and our newest member, Jessica Silver, who we welcome. To my left is Mr. David Anthony, Asset Management Director of the Town of Barnstable. Chris Kelsey, our liaison officer with the Barnstable Police Department. And the brains of the operation, Erin Logan, our interim executive assistant. This meeting is being recorded on the Town of Barnstable's Government Access Channel in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 30A, Section 20. If anyone else is recording this meeting, they have to make their presence known now. Seeing none, moving on. Is there any public comment? Anyone wish to speak to general matters of this board's concern? Seeing none. I would take a motion, Mr. Flores, with respect to the minutes of the last meeting.
The motion is written.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
And a motion with respect to the consent agenda, unless there are any objections to any of the items listed.
Make a motion to the consent agenda as printed.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Let me just jump out of order here a minute, if we could. An application filed by Llama Market of Barnstable, DBA Barnstable Market, 3220 Main Street, Barnstable, to transfer the off-premises wine and malt license from Smithfield Market of Barnstable LLC, DBA Barnstable Market, to Llama Market of Barnstable Inc., DBA Barnstable Market. There will be no changes to the daily operation, and the proposed manager is Sering Lama. Is anyone here for that? You want to come up to the... Good morning, Council.
Morning, all.
You want to identify yourselves for the record?
Yes, my name is Sering Lama, and I'm studying.
And Melanie O'Keefe, counsel for Saring, and Dawa, her husband.
So everything's going to stay the same?
Everything's staying same, business run, everything.
Okay. All the good food?
All the good food.
Add good food? You're going to add good food.
We will.
Does anybody have any questions?
So, did Peterson sell it to you? Is that what happened here?
This Peterson's been sold, yeah.
Oh.
We buying from Smithfield family.
Smithfield, okay.
Yes.
Brian.
The seller's here as well.
Yeah.
Have any questions?
Anyone else have any questions? Anyone from the public wish to speak to this application? Seeing none?
Mr. Chairman, with regard to an application filed by Llama Market of Barnstable, Inc., DBA Barnstable Market, 3220 Main Street, Barnstable, to transfer the off-premises wine and malt liquor license from Smithfield Market of Barnstable, excuse me, LLC, DBA Barnstable Market, to Llama Market of Barnstable, Inc., DBA Barnstable Market, with no changes in daily operation, and the new proposed manager, Tersing Lama. I make a motion to accept.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Oh, second, yeah. Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you.
I'll be watching.
All right.
I go there too much. I don't go there enough. All right, the next matter is a new special one-day alcohol license application filed by Ethan Allen, 970 Iano Road, Hyannis, for a one-day alcohol license on December 7 from 5 to 8 p.m. for grand reopening event. They will be partnering with the Fagawi to raise money and donations for Heroes in Transition. Alcohol will be poured by Stephanie DeMuth, and her tip certification is on record. As a matter of public disclosure, I will not vote on this matter as I am on the board of Heroes in Transition. But Does anybody have any questions? Ms. Logan?
Chair, if you could please just assign one of the other members to
I would-
to this case.
I would assign Ms. Nancy Carlson Lipman.
Never hyphenate. Thank you.
Not enough coffee. Is anyone here for that application? Why don't you come on up and tell us what kind of fun we're going to have on the mattresses at Ethan Allen?
Mr. Chairman,
Yes,
just
sir.
before they speak, I will have no comment on this as I am the president of Fagawi Charities.
Understood.
Hi,
Hi.
I'm Stephanie Demuth.
Hi, Stephanie.
Hello. So we're excited to be having a grand reopening with Ethan Allen. We've reimagined our brand and we've redone all of our locations. And so with that, we wanted to involve a community charity because we were having an event and we would love to donate and raise funds for Heroes in Transition. So we'll just be having our clients invited and people from the
Are people coming off the street for this? Or is it an invitation only?
we're sending invitations. People could come off the street in theory.
Not that I'm going. but-
Is it publicly advertised?
It will be, yes.
So you're open for business on that given night?
Technically, yes. We close at 6.
Oh, okay.
Mr.
I guess I'm just asking if someone from the street want to come in and buy a piece of furniture, you'll be open?
We would be, yes.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the application filed by Ethan Allen, 970 INO Road, Hyannis, for a special one-day alcohol license on December 7th, 2023, from 5 p.m. to 8 p.m. for their grand reopening event, Ethan Allen will be partnering with Fagawi to raise money and donations for Heroes in Transition, Inc. Alcohol will be poured by Stephanie Demuth, who is currently certified. I make a motion to accept.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Can't wait to see you.
I can't wait to see you guys as well. Thank you.
Gonna have to get that Scotch guard out. Next matter is an application filed by New Life Ministries, DBA New Life Thrift on Main Bookseller Nook, 58 Corporation Street, Hyannis, for a junk dealer license to operate a thrift store at 211 Main Street in Hyannis. Is anyone here on behalf of that application? Come on up to the podium and let us know your name, please.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Gregory Chisholm.
Okay, Frederick, so tell us all about this operation.
Well, this operation, as it says, is a thrift store. We're going to sell like clothing, jewelry, furniture, stuff like that.
Secondhand items, right?
Yes.
Used
yes.
items. Okay. Does anybody have any questions?
So do you accept donations, and then is that where you get your product to sell?
Yes. Yes, we do.
Will people be able to drop it off at that location?
No, we are going to, the drop-off area will be at the church.
Okay.
Yes.
Do you, if someone wants to donate furniture, do you come and pick it up, or do they have to get the furniture to you?
No, we will come and pick it up.
You will, okay.
Yes.
That's good to know.
Does anybody from the public wish to speak to this application? Seeing none?
Mr. Chairman, with regard to an application filed by New Life Ministries, DBA New Life Thrift on Main Bookseller Nook, 58 Corporation Street, Hyannis, for a junk dealer license to operate a thrift store at 211 Main Street, Hyannis, I make a motion to accept.
A second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Good luck.
Thank you so much.
An application was filed by Not Your Average Joe's, Inc., DBA Not Your Average Joe's, 793 Iano Road, Hyannis, for a change of the manager from Sean McDaniel to David Anthony Hamill. Is anybody here on that? Why don't you come up and introduce yourself? Oh, I did. Sorry.
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is David Hamill. Been working at Not Your Average Joe's for 4 years now, and was transferred down from the Watertown location to the Hyannis location.
You're going to run the show.
That I am.
Anybody have any questions?
No.
Anybody from the public have any questions? Seeing none?
Mr. Chairman, with regard to an application filed by Not Your Average Joe's, Inc., DBA Not Your Average Joe's, 793 INO Road, Hyannis, for a change of manager from Sean McDaniel to David Anthony Hamill, I make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Congratulations. Good luck. Sorry, I skipped an application filed by GMRI Inc., DBA The Olive Garden Italian Restaurant, number 1523, at 1095 Iano Road, Hyannis, for a change of manager from David Allen Marshall to Melissa Lerner. Come on up, Melissa, and tell us about yourself. And
Hi, my name's Melissa Lerner. I work at Olive Garden for about 3 years now. I'm the senior manager on duty. I don't know what else to say.
okay, does anybody have any questions?
So you're tip certified, right?
Yes, sir.
Anyone from the public have any questions? Seeing none?
Mr. Chairman, with regard to an application filed by GMRI Inc., DBA The Olive Garden Italian Restaurant, number 1523, at 1095 INO Road, Hyannis, for a change of manager from David Allen Marshall to Melissa Lerner, I make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good luck.
Thank you.
An application filed by the Ninja House, Inc., to DBA Ninja House, 247 Main Street, Hyannis, for an annual all-alcohol license, proposed hours of service Monday through Thursday, 11 a.m. to 10 p.m., and Friday and Saturday, 11:45 a.m. to 11 p.m., Sunday, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., and if I made a mistake, it was Monday through Thursday, 11:45 to 10 p.m. Would you come up to the microphone, please?
Hi, my name is Ashley.
How's business so far, Rishi?
Little quiet because the wine. So all the people asking about the wine beer something. So.
All right, does anybody have any questions?
So could you describe your experience in using an alcohol license?
Oh yeah. Before I opened the restaurant, I worked in the restaurant for so many years. I've been a server and then cashier, and then I also doing some like a part-time bartender job.
Okay.
So basically, all my life is working in the restaurant.
So you're tip certified?
Yeah.
Okay.
Anyone from the public have any questions? Seeing none.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the application filed by Ninja House, Inc., DBA Ninja House, 247 Main Street, Hyannis, for an annual all-alcohol license with the proposed hours of alcohol service Monday through Thursday, 11:45 a.m. to 10 p.m., Friday and Saturday, 11:45 a.m. to 11 p.m., and Sunday, 1 p.m. to 9 p.m., I make a motion to accept.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, we'll get that going.
Okay.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Happy holiday. I know the holiday is not here, but happy Thanksgiving.
You too.
Thank you.
The next matter is a show cause hearing on an annual Class 2 auto dealer license for Cape Quality Auto Sales, 455 Yarmouth Road, Hyannis, for the following violations of the Town of Barnstable Code: 501-8E, hours of operation. Licensees are granted to serve the public need, and to that end, licensees are expected to operate in the license for a substantial number of hours on all days when the premises are permitted to be open under the terms of the license. 501-10C, standards of conduct and activity occurring at the licensed premises. Any person who hinders or delays a police officer or otherwise authorized agent of the licensing authority in the performance of the agent's duties, or who refuses to admit to or locks out any such agent from any place which such agent is authorized to inspect, or who refuses to give such agent such information as may be required for the proper enforcement of the general laws, shall be punished by a fine of not less than $50 and not more than $200, or by imprisonment for not more than 2 months, or both. 501-14B1, other causes for revocation, suspension, and modification. Violation by the licensee of any provision of the relevant general laws of the Commonwealth or relevant ordinances of the town of Barnstable, or of any rule or regulation of any town or Barnstable agency or the Alcohol Beverages Control Commission, or of any rule or regulation of the licensing authority. Someone here on behalf of Cape Auto Sales.
Good morning. My name is Attorney James B. Dillon, Jr., for my clients, Mr. Murray and Ms. Gomes here. I did request and I did receive from Ms. Logan a breakdown of the dates that allegedly my clients' businesses were not in operation. And having gone over with the report with my clients the other day, they disagree with the assessment about these.
Could you just move that microphone to you, because they're recording it, so, thank you.
In reviewing the dates that are alleged that my clients were not operating their business, they disagree vehemently with that. It looks like, and I see Officer Kelsey is here, so maybe he can give some additional information here, that it looks like Officer Kelsey drives by and makes observations whether the place is open. Is that correct?
Well, let's do this. Why don't we just have Officer Kelsey present his version of the events, and then you can go inquire about that. Officer Kelsey.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. As we had spoken several months back, we had opportunity to look into the business operation of Cape Quality Car Sales. It started originally because we were getting complaints about the operation being run out of their collision shop on Route 6A, and that went back even before I was in this position. When Officer Gallant was here, probably about 2 years ago, I started getting some of the complaints, and that's how I originally got involved in this. Since then, we had been looking at the operation on Yarmouth Road, which is Cape Quality Car Sales. And to that end, we started to go and originally wanted to do a compliance check at that location. We had a difficult time, and this is going back probably definitely to 2022, finding anybody at the location. And if you remember correctly, several months back, we did ask Cape Quality Car Sales to come before this authority to answer those questions as to why they weren't operating on a regular basis in a more informal setting, which we did. Since then, obviously, we continue to monitor the operation of the business. To answer the question of, sorry, what is your last name?
Attorney James Dillon.
Okay, Mr. Dillon, thank you, Attorney Dillon. To answer Attorney Dillon's question, when I do these checks, sometimes it is driving by looking to see if the business is open. As I put in my summary for Director Logan, and this summary was given to Attorney Dillon, any of the dates, the 21 dates that are listed here on this summary report, all of those were physical attempts to raise somebody at the business by going to the door. So if they are on this piece of paper, I went to the door, attempted to open the door, and there was nobody there. The doors were locked. Sometimes the lights might have been on, sometimes they weren't, but there was definitely no answer at the door, and it was a physical attempt. It was not a drive-by.
Okay. And that was 21 occasions?
21 occasions, yes. The first one being on August 31st of 2022, with the most recent being, I think the last attempted contact or contact was October 5th of 2023. Just to clarify, in that time frame, there were some attempts where contact was made, for sure. And as I put in my summary, there was a period of time between May and probably mid-July, and that was right after the licensing authority meeting that we had here, where the business was run on a fairly consistent basis. And those observations were made as drive-bys because I could drive by, I could see people at the business, I could see staff present, I could see the door open. So there was no reason to go make a physical attempt because I could see that. Probably late July, we started noticing that the business wasn't being run on a regular basis. We did not see the doors open. We did not see staff there, staff vehicles there. So then that's where the physical attempts started again to go monitor whether they were running the business on a regular basis.
Thank you. Okay, Attorney Dillon.
Okay, so, as you stated, the 21 examples, you got out of your cruiser every time and went and knocked on the door?
Yes, sir.
Okay. And, for example, on 8/23/23, at 13:28, which would be, I guess, 1:30, if I can do that properly, it says that you were there and no one was there. You don't know if anyone was there prior or afterwards, do you?
No, sir. And just for clarification purposes, at the times that I went, there was nobody there at that time.
Okay.
So I could not say there wasn't somebody there at 9 o'clock in the morning. I couldn't say there wasn't somebody there at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. At, call it 1:30 on that day, there was nobody there. To further explain, if you look at this summary, you'll see that there is a little bit of a pattern to that. There are certain days of the week. If I checked on a Monday, the next time I might check on a Wednesday. If I checked at 1:30 in the afternoon on one day, the next time I might check at 11 o'clock or 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Really because I wanted to make sure that, hey, you know what, I don't want to go every day at 12:30 if they might be out to lunch. So I was varying the days, I was varying the times when these checks were made.
But of those 21 days, there were several times in which you would be going there at 12:15, 12:42, 1:30, 1:30, 11. So there was a lot of times when perhaps the person was there and maybe had gone out for lunch. You don't know for sure. You're only talking about the specific times that you were there, correct?
Yeah, that's what I just explained.
Okay. And did you ever go by the business and not knock on the door? Or-
I drive by that business on a regular basis. It's on a main road where we have other things going on all the time,
Okay.
including to and from work.
And are you also in charge of monitoring their other business, the auto body shop?
The only interaction I have with the auto body shop is if we have a complaint with them doing business as a Class 2 dealer from that location. As far as any of the other situations with the auto body shop, the licensing department does not directly get involved with that. Have I responded there as part of the patrol force? I have, but that had nothing to do with my responsibilities with the licensing department.
So you state that people have complained about cars being sold at the auto body location?
Correct.
Okay. And in these complaints, did the person explain their knowledge of such a potential sale?
No, what they complained about was that there were vehicles marked for sale in the parking lot of the collision center. With that complaint, I would go and I would follow up and ask, hey, are these cars for sale? Eventually, we just monitored by looking. I have had conversations with both Ms. Gomes and Mr. Murray concerning that in the past. The first time especially, they gave me a very satisfactory answer. The cars are marked for sale because we do repair work for other car dealerships. I don't have an issue with that at all. That makes sense.
Okay. Have you ever gone to that site and taken pictures?
I absolutely have.
You absolutely
Have.
have?
Yes, I have.
Okay. And have you examined the books at that location also?
The books at the collision center?
Yes.
There is no reason to examine books at the collision center. That's not part of the licensing
Okay.
process.
Just asking.
Okay.
And did you ever have any conversations with my clients concerning the staffing issues that you allege at the car dealership?
We've had several conversations, both informally with Mrs. Logan and myself. I've had conversations with them directly. Mrs. Logan has had conversations with them directly. And then we had an informal conversation with them in this room with this authority concerning the staffing of their business. So the answer is several times.
Okay. And when was, I wasn't here, when was that first hearing, the informal hearing?
Was that May of 2023?
It was May, I believe it was May 1st of 2023.
Okay. And what was that? September 5th. Okay. Yeah. And has my client expressed any frustrations with you that he feels that he's being picked on or targeted by any chance?
He has made that clear to me on occasion. He has also spoken with supervisors at the Barnstable Police Department, and he has made that same statement to them. To answer that for you and for this authority, the statement has been that we do compliance, attempt to do compliance, or monitor their business more than we do other businesses that are licensed by the town of Barnstable. The answer to that is the other car dealerships, when you drive by them, you can see that they're operating. You can see customers coming and going. You can see lights on. You can see staff in the building. For that reason, there is no need to go in and physically check. I can see that they're open. With Cape Quality Car Sales, on a quite consistent basis, there is no activity. There is no open door. There are no staff vehicles that are visible. And when I have gone, there has been most often nobody there. So to answer the question, yes, they have drawn more attention from the police department, from me, as a licensing agent, because it is obvious that they have not been running consistently and open for business.
So when you do drive by at times and you don't stop, you don't know if there's anyone in the office or not, do you?
And I never claimed that.
I'm not claiming that you claimed it. I'm just saying that you do drive by and you may not see the door open, but you don't know if there's someone inside. Is that correct?
No, sir. Well, yes, sir. That is correct.
Okay, that was my question.
Yeah, okay. Mr. Chairman, I am more than happy to keep going down this road, and I'm more than happy to answer any questions that this licensing authority has. But I would just caution that the question really should be whether the licensee is operating their business and not whether the police department is monitoring their business or with the licensing authority. We have that mission. We have been tasked to do so, and I was asked to do so by the licensing director.
Oh, I think that's understood.
Okay.
No one's disputing that, but if there's an allegation that they're not operating, and I'm provided a report with dates, I think I have a legitimate reason to ask you questions in a very nice manner, like I've done, concerning the allegations that are in the police report, because that obviously impacts whether or not they were operating. That's all I'm, you have your job, I have my job.
Absolutely, and I don't have an issue with that.
Okay. Okay. I have no further questions. Oh, yeah.
Okay, I got one question. I called the town hall, which I think I speak to Erin, and I asked her if she could please have somebody else do these check if we're at the location or not, because Officer Kelsey is lying, and she advised me that she will do her inspection herself. And the first time she did, somebody was there. Officer Kelsey went and got her because I was at the location all day. And the minute I got in my car and leave, I went to go home so I can get some lunch. She was there with me. We take the same car to work back and forth every day. So the minute he see my car leave, he went and get her and went back to the door. I wasn't even home before she called me and said they're knocking on the door, checking if somebody is here. Now it seems like you're setting us up to fail. And then she come and knock on the door. What next thing you know, she was inside.
I'd like to actually speak to that, please. I did take place, part of that inspection, and I did have that conversation with Mr. Murray. I understood his frustration. My plan was to go alone. Many members of town staff said it was not a good idea for me to do a compliance check alone, regardless of the establishment, that I should always have someone with me. So it was not specific to this establishment. I have done many compliance checks with Officer Kelsey, and it's always a pair. I had not done a Class 2 compliance check before. It was imperative that I have someone with me who could guide me. So I took the lead on that inspection, and I will tell you that Officer Kelsey and I were in a meeting prior to this. Nobody saw anyone leave. This was planned before we even knew what was happening at the business. I said, I want to know what's happening at the business. Let's conduct this compliance check. So when I had initially got there, Officer Kelsey came with me. Ms. Gomes answered the door, was very pleasant. Shortly thereafter, Mr. Murray arrived and started videotaping us. He was egging us on, if you will, trying to get a reaction, quite frankly. Made it a little stressful for me to do my job, and quite frankly, I probably should have walked away and ended it right there. But we were happy to see that they were allowing us to review their records, finally. So it was a situation I have never been involved in before. Of the multitude of compliance checks I've done with Officer Kelsey, I have never been confronted by business owners the way I was this particular day. I think it was very clear that I was the one conducting the test, the compliance check. I would certainly ask Officer Kelsey just to verify, am I doing things the correct way? I think my manner was very polite. And quite frankly, it ended with Mr. Murray telling me to F off. Don't ever come back to my effing property again. You have no effing right. And I say this because it speaks to the part of the code where we are referring to hindering an agent to do their duties. Otherwise, I would have kept this off of the record. But it quite literally does speak to how one conducts themselves in a business operation. I would like to think I have always had good conversations with them. I met with Mr. Murray and Ms. Gomes after the May meeting. We had a great conversation. I felt really positive about where it was going. But the fact of the matter is it was very frustrating that Officer Kelsey was just not able to conduct a compliance check. And perhaps it could be looked at as a bit of overkill, but for me, I wanted them to win. I wanted to see them operating the license. And this was not a gotcha moment. This was not anybody monitoring the business to see when they were leaving so we can catch them. We had a plan in place, and I guess we'll leave it at that, but I'm open to questions.
Can I say something, please? I have video footage, like I sit in the car. Like now it comes to the point when I'm at the dealership, I'll sit in the car and I'll watch him drive by at least like 20 times a day. Like he's up, down, up, down. That specific day, I sit in the car, I watch him drive back and forth before I leave. So I know that's not true. Second of all, as me swearing and telling her to F off, I have a video footage of the whole time she was there. I record the whole thing, and so did he. So that's a lie. And I can prove that. Okay? I'm not here lying to you guys or anything. I don't know what is his problem when it comes to us running this business. I don't know. But I called her and I asked her, please, if she can just have somebody else do the inspection, just to see that we're not lying. That's all I asked her.
I think,
To expand on what Mrs. Logan was talking about, I do take exception to being called a liar, especially in these situations, because not that I feel like we need to prove anything, but prior to that inspection, we were actually at a meeting at 200 Main Street with probably 5 or 6 department heads with the town of Barnstable, including the deputy chief of police, and the lieutenant in charge of detectives. We had zoning, we had Mr. Anthony, we had Commissioner Florence, and we were in that meeting for approximately an hour and a half to 2 hours. So there was nobody out there monitoring that business on that day. As far as the way that staff is treated, on several occasions, myself personally, I have been told to get the F off the property. Other police officers have been there, as stated in my report, and they've received the same treatment. We've also received that treatment at the collision center, but that has not been brought up as part of today's issue because it's not on today's agenda. The fact that they have treated us in that manner when we are trying to do authorized inspections or compliance work, that is a regular type thing. Mr. Murray keeps talking about he has video. I would be very happy for him to show the video of him going off on his tirades where he's telling us to F off and to get the F off the property, because he was videotaping when that did happen.
Thank you. Anything further, counsel?
I would say, because I'm familiar with my clients, I incorporated them when they started the business 5, 6 years ago, helped them with the startup and everything. I think, and from talking to them and hearing and taking phone calls from them for several years, when they first went into the location over in West Barnstable, there was a lot of opposition to them. Who are these people? The cars are there. It kind of disrupted the entire neighborhood. And they've just had to deal with people who have filed complaints, have complained to them, complained to the town, and I think that this is their frustration with, like, we're just trying to run a business, mind our own business, and they feel that, rightly or wrongly, that, they're being picked on. And I think that frustration was spoken to Ms. Logan. They just want to operate the business, both businesses. And again, from the very beginning, because I've taken their phone calls over the years saying, well, someone's complained again, what are we going to do? The neighbors, they're not used to seeing my client and the people who work for them walking around West Barnstable, and there's complaints all the time about where the cars are parked, how many cars are parked, and it's the frustration. Obviously, such language is inexcusable, but I can understand both points. But almost 40 years, I can see two sides to the story. I understand, but that's what their point of view is. Depending upon, obviously, the outcome of what occurs today, I have advised my clients that someone has to be there every day and put a flag out in front, do something so that there is someone there. I know from talking to Ms. Gomes here, anytime she is at the car place, she has the door locked, she's inside. She says, I'm scared. It's right near the railroad tracks, it's not the best part of town. So the door is always locked when she is there. And so, that's their story. They're frustrated, and they, I don't know if it's possible to start on a new footage, a probation period or something like that. That's what I would suggest.
Anybody have any questions?
Couple comments. You had mentioned the time element, 12:30, 1 o'clock, when they could have been out to lunch. If nothing else, they could hang a sign on the door that they're out to lunch, and when they're due back, it must indicate that the time expected to be back. Now, when these folks came in front of us before, part of the problem was operating between the two businesses. And I can understand why it might take you away temporarily from one business to the other. but they need to have something there. If I was looking to buy a car and I went there and there's nobody there, and then I go there again and there's nobody there, and there's no sign, nothing, when I'll be back, when they'll be back, it does get confusing. We asked you the last time that you were here to work with Officer Kelsey and trying to resolve some way that either you spend more time there or more time in the other place, because that seems to be what's confusing here. I think that's what's drawing you away is perhaps dealing with the other business, and I can understand. Having said that, we want you to succeed. We want businesses in Barnstable to succeed. So we're not trying to pick on anybody. If there's a complaint and we keep getting complaints or there's continual issues of violation of the rules, we're going to go back again and again and again until it gets straightened out. Now, we've been there so many times that by now, some of these issues should have been straightened out, whether it's time of being there, whether it's more cars on the lot than should be, and so on and so forth. We want to work with you, so let's work together. So I don't know what the answer is, but something, you're back here again within 6 months, and the problem still hasn't been solved. So we're throwing this on your shoulders to solve it.
That's, the comments you just made are the exact same comments that I had when I met with my client last week. Like I said, I've been a lawyer for almost 40 years. And I said to them, I said, one, you always got to have someone here. You always got to show that the place is up and running and that there's activity there. And the way you're operating, it isn't working here, and you're getting yourself in trouble. So I've had this conversation with them and explained, depending upon what the outcome is, you've got to change your ways. And as I said, I've worked with them from the very beginning when they first opened the place and I incorporated them. And I'm happy to step in and help now. If, I've already told them how it has to be. In the future, if there is a sniff or a problem like that, you can please reach out to me because, they're my clients, but they're also friends. My daughter got a ding on her car. She was crying and hysterical. We brought it up and they took care of it. So I consider them friends, also clients. And I want them to succeed. They've done a lot. They've accomplished a lot. I think they need some polishing around the edges, frankly.
May I ask a question of Ms. Gomes, please? Hi. I'm not familiar with the inside of I've been past your business, but not inside. If someone were knocking on your door, is there a location within your business where you could not hear that?
There's a back office where sometimes I am, so it's possible, but I could still hear a knock.
You could probably still hear a knock if someone was knocking.
We've got to have you talk into the microphone, I'm sorry, because of the recording.
I said there is a back office, but I should be able to, if the knock is a, regular knock, then I should be able, but if, I wouldn't be able to hear it.
If business was out there looking for you, you would want to know.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
That's what we're there for. But there's been an incident before at the dealership that has kind of made me nervous now. So now I like to keep the door locked so people just can't barge in.
I probably would too. Thank you.
Yeah, I'm not so much concerned about the hours of operation. I am, and I think that both Ms. Logan as well as Officer Kelsey have done their due diligence, but what I'm struggling with right now is, in our report that was given to us, is the indication that Mr. Murray has really tried to hinder the investigation and almost intimidate, if you will, both Ms. Logan and Mr. Kelsey. That troubles me immensely in terms of behavior, in terms of image, and to tell someone who is representing the town to F off and get the F off the property is totally, totally unacceptable. Now, I know it's a he said, she said, according to what I'm seeing and hearing, but nonetheless, if it's in the report, I'm taking Officer Kelsey at his word, and I'm taking Ms. Logan at her word. I have no reason not to think that exchange did not happen. That's a serious issue as far as I'm concerned.
Okay.
We do have it recorded.
I think that part of the problem is, as Mr. Decker alluded to, is we have been interested in working with them, and we have extended what I think beyond our usual course, the opportunity to try to work with them, and sort of been met with pushback at every situation. I think we were pretty emphatic back in May that the operation had to be open consistently within the hours. And that obviously has not happened. So,
I think,
go ahead.
I think also at the May meeting, when you were on the agenda, no one showed up.
No, he was here.
Was he here?
Yeah.
There
Yeah, they're
were,
both here.
there were a few meetings that we had on this issue. There was at least one, if two, that nobody from Cape Quality
Right, I remember
was
that.
here. We were finally able to have that meeting.
Yeah, there were 2 or 3 occasions prior to that no one showed up, yeah. Okay. Anything else, counsel?
I wasn't aware of those meetings. I'm not sure
I
what
always
meeting
get
you guys are talking
Aaron's
about.
emails.
All right, well, it's not the biggest issue at the moment, don't worry. Does anybody from the public wish to speak to this matter? Seeing none, I'll take a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
A motion to determine the findings of fact.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to 501-8 hours of operation, licenses are granted to serve the public need, and to that end, licensees are expected to operate the license for a substantial number of hours on all days when the premises are permitted to be open under the terms of the license. Cape Quality Car Sales, located at 455 Yarmouth Road, Hyannis, failed to operate for a substantial number of hours on all days when the premises are permitted to be open under the terms of the license. So I move that the Cape Quality Car Sales is guilty as it relates to the licensing rules and regulations, Section 501-8E, hours of operations.
Okay. Why don't you continue that with respect to the other issues?
I'm sorry?
Keep going with the other issues. 50110.
The 501-10C, standards of conduct and activity occurring at the licensed premise. Any person who hinders or delays a police officer or other authorized agent of the licensing authority in the performance of the agent's duties and who refuses to admit to or locks out any such agent from any place which such agent is authorized to inspect, or who refuses to give such agent such information as may be required for proper enforcement of the general laws, shall be punished by a fine of not less than $50 and not more than $200, or by imprisonment for not more than 2 months, or both. Cape Quality Car Sales, located at 455 Yarmouth Road, Hyannis, did hinder or delay a police officer or other authorized agent of the licensing authority in the agent's duties by refusing to admit to or locked out such agent from any place which such agent is authorized to inspect, and refused to give such agent such information as be required for the proper enforcement of the general laws. So I move that Cape Quality Auto Sales is guilty as it relates to the licensing rules and regulations, Section 501-10C, standards of conduct and activity occurring at the licensed premise.
So motion with respect to those findings and verdict?
Chair, can we get a second, please?
Yes. Does anybody have a second?
Second.
Someone other than Mr. Decker, please.
No, Mr. Flores said second.
Thank you, sorry about that.
All in favor?
Aye.
Now, the discussion with respect to the penalty that would be imposed. Okay. I'm going to suggest that we put a penalty of $200 on the matter, and I'm willing to discuss a suspension of that until, for a year, I'm sorry, I'm going to, a $200 fine and a suspension of the license to be held in abeyance for 1 year pending any reoffense. Any discussion?
That sounds appropriate to me.
Any motion?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion to fine the licensee $200 in addition to a suspended sentence for 1 year.
Any second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, that's what we're going to impose. I'm just going to give you this caveat for the last time, okay? You've been here a couple of times. We've had the same conversation. The next time is going to be a problem. So I think we've gone above and beyond working with you, and I feel a little bit bad about that, but let's see if we can't make this work, and if not, we're going to revoke the license. So I would suggest that communications stay open, and anytime there's an inquiry from either Officer Kelsey or Ms. Logan, that you act appropriately and not disrespectful to the inquiry, okay?
Thank you very much. Appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Officer.
Okay, the next item on the agenda is a show cause hearing for the annual lodging house license for Simmons Homestead located at 288 Scudder Avenue in Hyannis for the following violations of the Town of Barnstable, Massachusetts Code 501-5, responsibility of all license holders. License holders are required to attend any and all mandatory meetings held by the licensing division or any Town of Barnstable division as related to the business operation. The license holder is responsible for the proper management of the premises according to the provisions of relevant general laws of the Commonwealth or relevant ordinances or codes of the Town of Barnstable, any rule or regulation of any Town of Barnstable agency or of the Alcohol Beverage Control Commission, any business plan or management policy of said license holder or of any other means as determined by the licensing authority so that unlawful acts or unlicensed activity does not occur on the licensed premises. In addition, Section 501-9, the physical premises, no licenses shall issue or shall be considered in good standing unless licensed premises comply with all statutory requirements, including all applicable building codes, including fire, health, safety, trash, state and local tax obligations, and other government regulations and laws. In addition, the licensed premises shall conform to the floor plan approved by the licensing authority with regard to the structures and the walls of the premises, as well as with regard to all tables, chairs, booths, bars, counters, bar stools, dance floors, or areas, railing, partitions, and other barriers at the premises. Any change in the floor plan or any renovations of any kind may not be made without notification to the licensing authority and the approval of the licensing authority. This includes substantial changes in the arrangement of movable furniture. All premises covered by the license shall be kept in clean and sanitary condition, and the capacity set for the premises by the building department constitute the maximum potential capacity for the premises, but the actual capacity of the premises may not exceed the amount approved by the licensing authority and stated on the license. And finally, Section 506-3, under general provisions, every lodging housekeeper shall keep or cause to be kept in permanent form a register in which shall be recorded the true name and residence of every person engaging or occupying a private room averaging less than 400 square feet in terms of floor area. Such register shall be kept for a period of 1 year after the last entry therein and shall be open to the inspection of the licensing authorities, their agents, and the police.
Is anyone here from Simmons Homestead? Why don't you come up to the podium, please? Thank you.
Here.
Please, you put that microphone so it will pick up your, and your name is?
William Putman. I'm the owner of the property there at 288 Scudder Avenue, and also president and 100% owner of Treetops Inc., which operates it.
Okay. As a matter, can I just ask you to take a seat there, and we'll hear from the fire department with respect to the allegations, and you'll get a chance to ask any questions if that's...
Sure, I can answer that right now.
Well, let's have him put it in the record, and then we'll give
Okay.
you the questions.
Because we're all brand new.
Good morning, Mr. Chairman. Captain Tim Lamb, Hyannis Fire Department, Fire Prevention Division. In regards to this property, we've been out. Most recently, we were out there on October 5th to re-inspect conditions that were identified during our inspection with other town agencies. That was on September 27th. Most of our concerns had been addressed. There are still a few items that had not been addressed. We have not heard from Mr. Putnam since as far as doing a follow-up inspection at this property.
So when you did the re-inspection, what was still unaddressed?
We had some violations that were still present in room number 1 and room number 2 that were unresolved. Room number 8, new smoke alarm had been installed, but in a non-code compliant location.
With the first two rooms you mentioned, what were the violations that had to be corrected as to those?
In room number 1, originally, there was smoke detector was present, but in a non-code compliant location. This room, it was within 3 feet of the ceiling fan, which can impede its designed operation. And in room number 2, it was more safety concerns with electrical issues as far as missing electric switch. Bathroom shower vent was missing, just an open space with open wires that were exposed. In the second floor hallway, in the area of room number 4, we had noticed that someone on the property had been very careless with the disposal of cigarettes. As a reminder, it's a very old property, built long before the building codes, and with limited fire protection on the property. It is code compliant, but it is very limited. We also had issues with the 3rd floor, the main house being occupied. It is currently unoccupied. In the annex building, room number 11, there was an issue with the entry door. It could not be securely closed. It was broken, and it was non-code compliant as far as for smoke and building code requirements there. And then room number 12, we were unable to access that one during that visit on October 5th. And that is it for the unresolved issues. Again, mostly minor in nature, but important given the limited fire protection for the property and the number of people living there.
I'm assuming by the lack of it being listed that there were fire extinguishers in appropriate places?
Fire extinguishers in appropriate places, and they are currently inspected.
Thank you. Does anybody have any questions for the chief, captain? No? All right. Does anyone else wish to address this? Mr. Putnam?
It's well, I've been a bed and breakfast for, 35 years. And when I first started, there were over 30 B&Bs in Hyannis alone. Now there are none. And it's just been a nightmare. I've had to take in monthly rentals rather than daily stuff. And a couple of rooms we've had evicted people. But of the problems we had there in room 1 was a 2-bedroom suite, or a 2-room suite. And there was a smoke detector in the front room, which was fine, then one in the other room, which was closed, so we moved it. It's about 12 feet away now, from the fan. Room 2, I don't think the actual smoke detector wasn't up, it was on the floor. We had just evicted somebody out of there, and that's all been taken care of. And then there's a light switch where a cover rather, where the switch goes. It's room 2. Then there was one other thing he didn't mention between, we have hardwired stuff that if there's a smoke it goes off, and then it goes off all over the building and the side effect room and everything. And in the back wing, there's 2 rooms, and the hardwired smoke detector, something was wrong with the wiring. We put in it's a Wi-Fi. It goes from there over a receiver in the dining room, which it abuts, and then the whole thing is all hooked up, and it's worked out fine. On the other building, the annex, where it used to be a barn, room 11, we had to evict the person. It was horrible. We've replaced the door. Person we had in there before turned out to be a drug dealer, and people it was a nightmare. And to get people that you want out these days, it took over 2 months of notification and giving them time and a lot of other stuff. They should just be, anyway, we're being a lot more careful of the people we're taking in. And room 11 and 12, room 12, which has 2 rooms in it, they didn't get into it. They were just doing something else and left without, but I carry keys. I've got keys to all the rooms in case we need an emergency or anything. And then the fire sprays. Perry comes and inspects them sometime this month. I called them to make sure. But they're all working, and they just need to be inspected. And every so often, you have to buy a new one. So I should just be up to. I've been up to code for 30 some odd years, and it's just been a nightmare. But we're doing everything. Everything is okay now. So I've got one little thing I've got to finish, but that's about it.
Okay. Other than that one little thing, am I hearing you correctly that you've corrected all the other problems that the fire department identified?
Yeah. Then there was one in the building department that some outside clapboards were off and water was getting into the barn building, annex, whatever. Used to be a barn. We've got all that replaced. We just got to paint it. And so everything else should be okay. They issued the lodging house license. I don't get a bed and breakfast license. It's just a lodging house now, because we don't serve food or anything like that. But
And you're aware of the record book you have to keep with respect to lodgers?
I didn't realize the record book, I have a listing of every person that's here with their phone number and everything. And, which apparently is even more than because they're staying there year round, or possibly year-round. A couple of them have worked for me for several years and been there, one 9 years and one 6 years, because the bed and breakfast has been going downhill. But I've kept a listing of the things, and
Okay.
I don't call it a lodging book, but I have, and then their phone numbers, and
Officer
I can get
Counselor?
any other information you need.
So this was a little confusing for me. Last year, I did accompany the different inspectional services when they went to visit this property, and I asked Mr. Putnam for his logbook, which he produced, and he had logbooks going back years and years and years. This year, when we were there, I asked for a logbook, and he really didn't understand what I was asking for. So I even explained to him that last year you had them, and they went back for several years. So I think there's just a little confusion there. I mean, it's a very easy fix. I think what you're doing with keeping the names and the phone numbers is sufficient. Maybe you might want to get some sort of other identifying information for these people.
The regular guest books that kept for 1,000 years where people were staying there, so I had home addresses and stuff like that, in addition to their names, and I think they probably had their phone numbers too. I kept better records. These people live here, so this is their home address. I can't use another one. I've got a phone number, got their full names. And that's about all I can, and I keep changing it. But if you would like, I can't get like another address because this is it. I spoke to a couple of people about possibly, getting next of kin or something like that. If there's an emergency, how do you get a hold of? And a couple of them don't have any. Their ex-wife had died, and
Yep, I understand what you're saying.
yeah. But if there's any other information other than who they are and where they are,
Maybe we can talk offline and we can come up with a plan for you that will be sufficient. in
oh
this.
sure, anything you
Perfect.
anything you want, I can get somebody else you can get a hold of if something happens to them.
Yep, that sounds good. I mean, and I think this is a little bit of the issue we have. I mean, the operation truly at one point was a B&B, then it went to a lodging house, and now I wouldn't even call it short term. I think that a lot of the people that are staying there are long term. I mean, when we were there before, there were several people, probably the majority of the people on the property were there longer than 1 year, one up to as long as 6 years. So I think the type of operation has significantly changed, and I think you just need to figure out exactly what you're running.
Mr. Putnam,
wish.
It's just been a nightmare. But like I say, I'm being a lot more careful. And I've got down to, I think, all the people that I should get evicted.
Mr. Flores has a question.
Mr. Putnam, I'm just curious, do you have a standard policy in terms of when you rent to someone, short-term or long-term? Do you check references? Do you do any kind of a background check on these folks?
I didn't, and like I said, I was just not used to this stuff, and that's why we had to evict them all. Now I do.
You have a standard procedure for doing that now? You check references
I
at a
talked to their
minimum?
employers, my daughter-in-law, my son and daughter-in-law live in Sandwich, and she goes on Google and a couple other things to see if there's anything, trying to find out as much as we
But do you, I guess what I'm asking, do you, if Mr. or Mrs. X comes to you, do you ask them to give you reference names that you can check, or employers?
Yes, now
You
we
do?
Yeah, we didn't before, and that's
But you do
where
now?
it's a nightmare, so.
Okay, thank you.
But I just wasn't used to doing what now I'm, sadly,
I think it's sadly for your own protection as much as for requirements.
well, the hallway in my room 4 that you mentioned with cigarettes, and the main alarm was gone, and a few other things. Been trying to evict that man. He didn't pay penny rent. At the beginning, he paid sort of a half the first week's rent, and then he moved in. And that was before I did much checking. And then he didn't pay any more rent. We had to
I understand significantly.
lock a door because he was dealing drugs. When they finally got him out, there were 3 garbage bags, black garbage bags, full of empty nip bottles. I didn't count them, but I would say there's maybe 2,000.
Yeah.
Just a lot of problems that
I understand the issues with being a
people are getting
landlord.
better, and I'm checking, and
Yeah.
and they're all on a 30-day lease, so if they screw up, I can
Drop them. Mr. Decker.
try.
With regard to the infractions that the police officer just, or excuse me, the fire department gentleman indicated, those infractions, I assume you got a list of them.
They're all done. They're all done.
That's my question. They've all been resolved to their satisfaction. Do you
Plus
give,
even a little bit more.
do you give your tenants a list of rules and regulations? Or don't you have rules and regulations?
I'll take the look as a no.
My other
All
question.
of this stuff, I'm not experienced in, but if it's something I should do, tell me what I should do and I'll do it.
You did mention that you have a set of keys in case of an emergency. What if you're not on site? Does someone else have keys for emergency?
No, I really don't have anybody else working for me. I've had to let everybody go, so I'm the only employee and I don't get paid. And
All right. I think what we ought to do is,
I've got a couple of, I'd say, good tenants that I could.
no, I don't think you should give keys to tenants.
Oh, no, but I can show them where they, oh, I see what you mean. I can show them where it is.
I think what you should do is probably share,
I'm not off the property very often for that very reason. I try and get out for dinner maybe once every 2 weeks. And that's about it. I can go to the post office, and so I'm there stuck with those, but also with just my 7 cats that I have to feed on a regular basis.
oh, baby. I think what we ought to do is ask you to have a conversation offline with the captain and Officer Kelsey so that they can put in place some things that would allow us to address a problem if it were to occur on an emergency basis, to be able to get into the rooms and things like that without having to forfeit the security of the tenants. So I thank you. Does anybody else have any questions?
I don't do that on a regular, for that very reason. I think you have to, but it's just for an emergency.
Right. No, you shouldn't go into the tenant's room without an emergency. But if there is an emergency, I want the fire department and I want the police department to be able to know where the access points are or the keys are, if that's appropriate. So if you would do that, that would be
I
appreciated.
keep them in my office, but I could keep them there or.
Well, let's not discuss that on TV, so just stand by for a minute.
I'll find a place that, because I don't lock my space.
Just a final comment. So there's nobody on site on a regular basis monitoring what's going on in the building, correct? You said you go there about every other week, couple of weeks?
No,
Yeah, I'm there the bulk of the time. I go to bed early, but.
he said he goes out to dinner every couple of weeks.
Do you live in the building?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, okay.
Well, there are 2 buildings, the main building and then what was the barn, we call it the annex.
I thought you were implying that you didn't live in the building and only went back and forth every
Oh,
couple
no,
of
no,
weeks.
no, no,
Okay.
no.
My mistake.
24 hours.
Chair?
Yes, ma'am.
Everything is wired in, is that correct? All the smoke detectors are wired in?
The individual ones in the room are battery operated. Then in the hallways, like on the second floor hallway, there are 1, 2, 3 hardwired ones. with battery backups. And downstairs, and the attic has one, and the basement.
Do you check at all to see that the ones in the rooms are working? I mean, it's history that people take batteries out of smoke detectors and use them for other purposes, when in fact, they should be responsible and have those smoke detectors working. Do you ever check those?
Yes, they do. Well, we have to once a year, but
Yeah, I would encourage you to do it more frequently than that. Batteries don't always last that long.
they make some 10-year-old batteries, the little 9-volt things.
Ms. Logan,
Whether they actually go 10 years or not, I don't know, but.
hold on a second. Hold on. Ms. Logan?
Thank
Oh, I'm
you.
sorry.
I would just want, Chair, for the, for Mr. Putman to just realize the gravity of the life safety issues that were brought before by Captain Landman. I do know that this is the second time there have been locked and screwed doors, so, that means of egress is imperative. And I think our biggest concern is the life safety aspect of all of this, so.
It's all done because of drug
I just
dealing.
want that, I just want you to understand the gravity of that. I think outside of, in terms of how you operate is another issue, but, we're dealing with people's
think-
lives.
Well, there's still a front door and a back door, and this was to keep the druggies out.
I think the answer, Mr. Putnam, I think the answer is that it's very difficult to be a landlord. It's a lot more difficult to be a person whose building a life is lost in. So I would encourage you to work with the fire department and the police department to make sure, as Ms. Logan says, that the fire safety and safety in general in the building is as good as it can be, because it's a very old building, and we all know that very old buildings burn very, very fast. So we'd ask you to keep that up and make sure that that happens. It's imperative.
That, and we've put a couple of extra,
Well, you work with
Fire
Captain Lamb.
extinguishers.
You work with the captain about it.
with anybody.
But
In fact, if he was to work there, live there, it'd be fine.
I want to know, I don't want you to come back here with health and safety violations. I think that's what we're saying, okay? Because we don't want to have a problem on our conscience any more than you do. So please do that. Does anybody else have any questions?
No, I'm open to any suggestions, I say. I'm 86 years old, I don't know what else I'm gonna do.
Well.
Can't retire for another 14 years.
I hope you outlive the batteries. I hope you outlive the batteries.
But like I say, if what I'll do with the list of phone numbers and the lodging type of a thing, on that desk where I used to have.
Oh, let's not,
What I can do is I can put it there, or as you walk into the dining room, which would probably be the best bet, from right next to the front door, there's a bulletin board. I'll pin.
let's talk about that. Mr. Putnam?
Yeah.
Let's have that in a private meeting okay?
Oh, sure.
I don't want people in the public necessarily knowing what your safety and other protocols are, so.
Good point.
So we find this guilty or
But
not
we can figure out a way, or I can write out where everything is and give it to all the various departments.
I'll reach out to you, or Director
think he's
Logan.
really that guilty.
We'll reach out to you within the week, and we'll try to come up with something.
Anything I can do.
Okay, very good.
Thank you very much. All set? And that door thing.
Wait a minute, Mr. Putnam, don't leave yet. Mr. Putnam? Okay.
Mr. Chairman, with regard to the 501-5 responsibility for all license holders, License holders are required to attend any and all mandatory meetings held by the licensing division or any town of Barnstable divisions as related to business operation. Simmons Homestead, located at 288 Scudder Avenue, Hyannis, failed to appear at an October 16th, 2023 hearing wherein they were mandated to attend per 501-5B. I move that Simmons Homestead is guilty as it related to the licensing rules and regulations 501-5B. With regard to 501-5 responsibility of all license holders, the license holder is responsible for the proper management of the premises, according to the provisions of relevant general laws of the Commonwealth or relate to ordinances or codes of the town of Barnstable, any rule or regulations of any town of Barnstable agency or of Beverage Control Commission, any business plan or management policy of said license holder, or by any other means as determined by the licensing authority, so that unlawful acts or unlicensed activity does not occur on the licensed premise. Simmons Homestead, located at 288 Scudder Avenue, did not properly manage the premises according to the relevant ordinances or codes of the town of Barnstable. I move that Simmons Homestead is guilty as it relates to the licensing rules and regulations 501-5H.
Pardon me, Larry, you can just read the findings.
Okay?
You don't need to read the coding.
Simmons Homestead, located at 288 Scudder Avenue, is not in good standings as it relates to compliance with all statutory requirements, including all applicable building codes, fire, health, safety, and trash laws. I move that Simmons Homestead is guilty as it relates to the licensing rules and regulations, Section 501-9B. Simmons Homestead, located at 288 Scudder Avenue, did not conform to the floor plan approved by the licensing authority. I move that Simmons Homestead is guilty as it relates to the licensing rules and regulations 501-9C. Simmons Homestead, located at 288 Scudder Avenue, did exceed the capacity amount approved by the licensing authority as stated in the license. I move that Simmons Homestead is guilty as it relates to the licensing rules and regulations, sections 501-9G. Simmons Homestead, located at 288 Scudder Avenue, did not keep in permanent form a register which recorded the true names and residence of every person engaging or occupying a private room for a period of 1 year after the last entry. I move that Simmons Homestead is guilty as it relates to the licensing rules and regulations 506-3A.
And then, my apologies, but if we can just read 5019D. It was at the bottom of page 2.
501-9B. Simmons Homestead, located at 288 Scudder Avenue, Hyannis, has not kept the premise in a clean and sanitary condition. I move that Simmons Homestead is guilty as it relates to the licensing rules and regulation, section 501-9D.
We just need a second, please.
Second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Discussion with respect to a penalty, I would suggest a suspension of the license to be held in abeyance for 1 year, pending further inspections.
Second.
Anybody else have any other? No. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, Mr. Putnam, we found that on the occasion that the fire department inspected the premises, there were certain violations of the town code. we've issued a penalty that your license for a lodging house would be suspended, but we are not enforcing that suspension unless you have another violation within the year. Okay? You understand that? Please come up to the microphone, just so we have that.
Yes, and well, two things. They didn't tell me. Whatever needs to be done, I'll do it. Like I say, I'm just not experienced in this whole thing.
Well,
one thing that I do want to mention, which you mentioned, they said there was, in the main building, there are 10 rooms. And then in the annex, there are 2 rooms upstairs, and then I'm on the first floor of that building. And so that's 13 rooms. They said that was the maximum. One of the rooms, room 12, it was a 2-room suite basically for families. And so I've got a person in each room. But that, if you even split that up, it would be 14 rooms. And my license for here's last year's, here's this year's, is for 14 rooms. And so.
And I'm not arguing with you with respect to the number of rooms that you have.
Well, I thought that was something.
No, it's just that you need to keep those rooms in habitable and safe conditions, and you need to enforce habitable and safe conditions on the tenants of those rooms.
Can I get them to allow me to make inspections on a regular basis or anything? Do I have that kind of?
I think that would be potentially appropriate and that you might consider putting that in your tenancy agreement.
What I can do is say that I will, do it on a regular basis to keep them on their toes, and type up something special and just have them sign it as a separate.
As you see fit.
Whatever you guys see fit. Okay. Like I say, I'm just not experienced in this thing. I don't know what else I'm going to do. And
I might suggest that you reach out to South Coast Legal Services, and they may be able to give you some information with respect to being a landlord and the obligations and restrictions you have and the rights you have as a landlord. South Coast Legal Services.
where are they? Here in town or?
No, they're off Cape, but they cover the Cape.
Okay. Yeah.
I don't have the number. I'm not that good.
Because like I say, their experience as a bed and breakfast thing, it's just wiped out. And I need to have these type of people, I'm charging a reasonable rent, even though utilities, everything else has gone out of sight. But down here on the Cape and really all over every part of Massachusetts, housing and stuff is a serious thing. So that's why.
No, we appreciate
keeping these people off the street, but it's a two-way street.
Correct. We appreciate what you're doing. We just want everybody to be safe in doing it.
Well, I totally agree.
Well, thank you for coming in.
One interesting thing on the hardwired fire alarms that go off in every room, all the common areas. I replaced them about 2 years ago, and they've got a voice saying alarm, alarm, and they tell you exactly where the fire is. And
that will be helpful.
So, yeah, it's like having a night watchman.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. But again, if there's anything, and especially with you people, whenever you want to come around and look at the new stuff, and anything else we should do, I'm more than happy. Thank all of you for putting up with me and the other stuff.
Thank you very much. Do we need to make a motion on the forfeiture of Chipotle Mexican Grill since they've just turned in their license?
Just to make it clean, if you could, that'd be great.
I would move that we accept the forfeiture of the common victual license for Chipotle and the annual all alcohol license, I'm sorry, let me go back. I move that we accept the forfeiture of the annual all alcohol license for Chipotle Mexican Grill number 3332793 Iano Road, Hyannis.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, let's have a discussion with respect to Gimmy's Tavern. Come on.
Do we know if the lease has been?
The what?
It says renewal pending the lease. Do we know if the lease has been?
Hold on to your pantaloonies. We're going to get to that.
Hello.
Hello.
My name is Brenda. I work with Mass Military Support and Gimmy's Tavern. Our lease is up in April of 2024, and currently we have an option to renew for 2 years. However, because the Barnstable Clubhouse is under renovations, they are discussing kind of like they can't give us a lease if we have no place to go. And you guys know about how long it's going to take, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
A long time.
Yeah, I just didn't want to say that if no one knows.
No, I think what I'd like to do is, as Director of Asset Management and involved in this situation, we appreciate your flexibility in being able to provide services out there during 2023, during this unfortunate incident that wiped out pretty much most of the clubhouse. And as a matter of course, the building built in the 70s over the years has had different levels of maintenance. But the impact to the clubhouse was sufficient that codes needed to be addressed and major systems within the clubhouse had to be brought up to code. Our insurance claim actually carries coverage for code compliance for the bulk of what is needed. And that has been a rather robust discussion with the insurance company, because what should have been a much smaller claim, when you start having to do ADA access, when you start having to do sprinkler systems, when you start opening up walls to do those things and you find hazardous materials, which was the way things were built back then, they all need to be addressed now to meet current code. That has turned a small project into a much longer project. We are reaching the point in our insurance negotiations where they're talking about a settlement. And that's an important part, because when the town receives that money, we can then put it towards a project that now includes enhancements, taking advantage of the fact that the building is under repair. We're going to do some additional work, which is going to move through the town council in the spring of 2024. Regardless of how this all plays out, it is unfortunately highly likely that the clubhouse will not be available for supporting of golf operations until very late in the season or into the fall of 2024. So what we would like very much to do is find a way to do what we did last year. You were an excellent partner. You were flexible and able to provide, within the limitations that you had, service for the golfers. It is true that the underlying lease expires on April 1st if the option is not renewed. There is some question as to how do we get the paperwork to line up with what the intent is. And the intent is to bring you back for next year. Whether that is a standalone, separate one-year license that allows you to be in place for the golf season. The clubhouse is obviously going to be closed for the off-season, and golf operations, as I understand it, are going to move to Barnstable. The other course, Old Barney, is where there will be off-season golf, as opposed to traditionally it's been at Hyannis. So we're trying to balance out how the paperwork is going to follow the intention of what we want to do. In the midst of all of that, we have an alcohol license that has to be addressed. And there have been a couple of different creative solutions that we're working through legal to determine what is going to be the best way to protect your interests, to also give the town as many options as it can. In good faith, I don't know how we could enter into a lease if there is not a premises to lease. All of the things that are in that lease would not hold. So that's been the issue with our legal folks to try to make sure that we've got something correct. There is a draft of a one-year license that is going through legal to be looked at as a separate document altogether that would allow us to give you the commitment to move forward. But even that, under procurement law, Chapter 30B, Section 16, has to be addressed, and we have to get a determination if we are able to do that. In the midst of all of that, will that license stand up to be sufficient with the ABCC in order to get you a renewal as well? So there's multiple layers to all of this. I think what we need to do is, and we're not ready today, unfortunately, to kind of make a determination one way or the other, but we are working towards that goal, and we know what we want to achieve here with you as a partner. So I don't know if the renewal at this point before the licensing authority, I'm not sure what to vote on at this point. So I'm offering an update only in that regard.
I think we only have it on as a discussion matter, so I think you've got to make a determination of whether you're going to renew your all-alcohol license with the state, with the understanding that what capacity you may or may not be operating in is still sort of up in the air. I think the best way to explain it is that in order to have an alcohol license in Massachusetts, you have to have a valid existing lease for a valid existing premises. And since we don't have a premises in terms of a building, no one can give you a lease in order to go along with that license. So you can see we have two problems. So I'd suggest you guys make a determination as to whether to renew your all alcohol license and spend that money, rather than let that expire and then next year have to scramble to get a new license. I can't make that decision for you, but I think it's pretty apparent.
Oh, no, yeah, we wanted to go for the license.
Yeah.
But I didn't think we could if we didn't have a lease.
Well, that's what legal's,
that's-
that's what legal's trying to,
Yeah.
you're exactly right. I didn't need to explain
Yeah.
it. But legal will, and Mr. Anthony will be in touch with you
Okay.
with respect to that. Okay?
I'm good. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you for
Thank
coming
you,
in.
good luck.
Then we have a matter involving the Willow Street Package Store. Second notice violation received from the ABCC. Is anybody here on that matter? Seeing
Chair,
none?
no one's here for that matter right now. That's being handled by the state. They will notify us once they make a determination of whether their license will be revoked. This is the second, I think, in as many months.
Is the violation serving underage?
Correct. Both violations that came back to back were serving underage.
But they're still open, doing business as usual.
They are still open. So essentially, because the state will have a hearing once they determine what the
Okay.
fine is going to be, whether it's same that we just, basically had here, revocation, suspension.
So-
They will notify us.
So they're just preempting our authority.
Sure.
To give you a little background, the first violation actually happened almost on accident. There happened to be two state compliance officers going next door to grab lunch, and they observed the underage kids going in.
This wasn't a sting operation, this was...
Not at
okay.
all, completely random.
Okay.
The second one, they were actually paying attention to the property because they had observed the first violation, and they were able to identify underage individuals being served on that day as well.
Anybody else have anything to address with this authority before we get into our operational problems? No? All right, having said that, we have a discussion about a meeting date and time and moving that from Mondays to the fourth Wednesday of every month, except November and December, when we will hold it on an earlier Wednesday, and changing the meeting time from 9:30 to 10. speak or forever hold your peace.
I would just like to clarify for the record, because I did have someone reach out from the radio station and was left with the impression that we were reducing the amount of meetings. We are not. We are keeping to the standard one meeting a month. If anything, it's going to be fairly repetitive in that it's always going to be the fourth Wednesday, which should be relatively simple to look at your calendar and hopefully for applicants as well. Where there may be a slight reduction, but I beg that we can always add in a meeting if we find that the schedule warrants it. But really, I took out the April meeting, and we were always having 2 meetings in December. I'd really like to get away from that. Quite frankly, it's not just myself and you folks that are here after Christmas, but it's the government access channel folks that need to, carve time out of their vacations as well. And, who wants to really be here the week after Christmas?
Who wants to interrupt their merriment for this?
So if
I won't be here.
Well, right, so if, with using OpenGov and hopefully having folks apply, next year is gonna be a breeze for everyone. I'm pretty confident we can get everything handled by mid-December, and not have to have that second meeting. Again, for the public, no changes in how many, meetings. We've always done 1 meeting per month with the exception of 2 months.
So to clarify, we're going to move to a Wednesday schedule at 10 o'clock, except for November, December, and there'll be 1 meeting per month.
Correct.
So December is the only month we have 2 meetings currently?
We used to hold 2
I thought we had one earlier.
in March and April as well.
Yeah, we did.
I thought we
March and
did.
April.
And again, if applications come in and it gets heavy where it warrants another meeting, we can always fit one in.
Going forward, you're probably going to have to clearly explain the fourth Wednesday when for years everybody's been used to Mondays.
Great point. And yes, so I'm working with the communications department. It's going to be in the newsletter. Everyone who receives a renewal license this year, they will have a blurb on the email saying, congratulations, you've been approved. Everyone will know what the new schedule is going to be. So we do plan on using the government access channel to get that information across. The newsletters, we'll probably do a press release. And I will, the schedule is always available on the licensing division webpage, so there are no secrets.
Mr. Anthony?
Yeah, if I could just add something. In my 1 year plus working with Erin, her organizational skills are second to none, and her ability to communicate with the public, she has demonstrated very well over this past year. I have every confidence that people will be fully informed of these changes. And she's being a bit self-deprecating in the sense that she's got a good handle on this. We have support of our team to back her up with all of that, and we've put some things in place to communicate better with our folks. So I'm very confident that this is going to work. I think it will make it more efficient, and people will fall into the new routine quite quickly.
Looking forward to the changes.
So everybody's in agreement, and if not, too bad. Okay. Off we go. So we will be adjourned until our next meeting, which is on,
Consent agenda?
we did that at the
We did
beginning.
that at the beginning.
Don't wake me up.
December 11th.
11th, December 11th.
I'm sorry, do we have any police department updates? Since you're in a suit today?
No updates today.
Thank you. We've covered licensing updates as well? Good. When are we going to remove the acting? Or do I have to do something more drastic?
I'm hopeful that it will not come to that, sir. We are hoping that we are going to be able to move through this. The unfortunate situation is that this is perhaps the busiest time of year for Erin, and she is furthering herself with some professional development as well, which is also adding to her workload. So I'm hopeful that we're going to be able to come up with a plan. It's actually a companion position in the department that is now being questioned as to how it's going to be developed.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. I'm just trying to remove one word, not her. She can't go anywhere. She just needs to lose a word.
So the union contracts
I know, I'm only-
unfortunately require a process, which I
I
would
know.
just as soon avoid, but
I'm only kidding. All right, everybody have a great Thanksgiving.
Thank you, you too. Make a motion to adjourn?
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.